Hi everyone, and welcome to the next rendition of our interview. I'm delighted to have here with me Elain and Sharon from Wellbeing for Life, based in Charnwood in Leicestershire. Elain, welcome, and tell us a little bit more about your business.
Thank you, Ed. It's really nice to be part of your video programme. So yeah, Wellbeing for Life was established about 5 years ago, and it's run by myself and my sister Sharon. So that's an interesting dynamic that we bring as sisters working together. And essentially, we're a very holistic wellbeing business, and we support individuals and businesses to, I guess, be their best selves. And we do that in a number of ways. So we offer services around 4 key pillars that we think are really important to supporting wellbeing. So the first one is about exercise and movement. So we're not about marathon training, unless that's your thing, but actually helping people to kind of build movement into their day. The second pillar is around food and nutrition, eating the food that's going to make us feel amazing rather than be a size 0. We don't buy into any of that malarkey. Number 3 is about pause. We call it Pause for Life. It's about building in time for relaxation, stepping off the treadmill. And number 4, we call our Work Well for Life pillar. And that's essentially where we work with businesses, business leaders and their staff to make sure that the culture is right for wellbeing, to support people to follow their values, and to be the best in terms of productivity, motivation, mental wellbeing. So it's very holistic, and that's in a nutshell what we do at Wellbeing for Life.
Sounds amazing, and very much needed at the moment. Since this pandemic's happened, what have you seen out there in the marketplace? What have you seen from businesses that they really need help with at the moment?
I think with this pandemic, it's brought lots of challenges, but it's also brought lots of opportunities as well. And that's a really exciting part of this. And I think lots of businesses are recognising, some for the first time, but for others, it's really just kind of concreted the notion that their staff are so important. The staff are central to the success of their business. And I think what we've seen are businesses coming to us having recognised that, and they say, okay, can you support us? Our staff are feeling anxious, they're feeling uncertain, they're working in completely different ways, working from home, they're separated from each other, so the connectivity is missing, and they're really looking for support in terms of how they can support their health and well-being physically and mentally to get them as individuals through this time, but as a result of that, get the business through these challenging times at the moment. So it's been really exciting to work with organisations who are really kind of putting the well-being of their staff at the fore of their strategic thinking and looking for creative ways in which they can do that. So we've had some really interesting and exciting projects develop as a result of that.
That does sound awesome, actually. I mean, I'm very much an advocate for this, and I know that it's becoming higher upon business owners' agendas. It's one of those strange things, isn't it? That it's an intangible outcome a lot of the time. It's a sense of feeling that the performance has increased rather than being able to hang your hat on something. It's like a leap of faith almost that this is the right thing to do, and we know that people feel better, and they tell us that they feel better because of it. So how do you get people in business to really turn their head to this a little bit more and say, look, this is the right thing to do? Come and have a conversation about how we can improve the well-being and performance of your team.
I think the interesting thing there is that actually this pandemic, this lockdown period has forced a lot of that to happen. So we've seen through our work that mental health in the workplace has been a big area of development over the last couple of years, but it's still sitting under the kind of under the priority list probably. And so some businesses have been talking to us and saying, yeah, we'll get to that. We know it's important, but first I've got to do this. This whole period has turned that on its head. And actually, what we're seeing is that businesses are genuinely concerned about how they're going to support their staff to remain productive and positive. And a big theme for supporting not just furloughed staff, but also people who are working from home, is how to keep that connectivity. And part of that is about businesses saying, you're still important to us. You're still part of our business, even when you're furloughed, and they're going to need them when we kind of come out of this. So in a way, that dialogue has been pushed through because of this particular period. And I hope that one of the things that will remain after this is that, both from a business perspective and an individual perspective, the priority that is now there for well-being hopefully won't go away. I think it's brought it to the fore. You can't ignore it. People are really struggling. So we're doing a lot of one-to-one coaching with people who are struggling with specific issues. We're doing a lot of webinars and dropping in on groups of staff, doing some live webinars in terms of, real strategies that they can use every day to help them feel positive or motivated or deal with overwhelm or whatever it is. So that conversation is kind of coming up, and we're not having to kind of work too hard to make that happen, which I think is a really positive thing.
That's really good, actually. But you still need that door to be open, don't you, to have that conversation? And it's funny because I have several conversations with business owners, clients even, and we're talking about, well, what are we doing to connect, to engage and support the team? Some of the reward recognition conversations, one-to-ones right now, much more important than they've possibly ever been. I mean, they've been incredibly important anyway, but also doing that face-to-face on Zoom rather than the phone, and having some fun time as a team and some engagement and so on. But that's all really good stuff. But I get the sense as well that, particularly around well-being, it's around what's not being said rather than what is being said, right? So sometimes the business owners that are out there, they're not either seeing or knowing where to look for cues to understand how the well-being is in their business. So how can you help them understand what good looks like, what the cues look like, and when to kind of maybe raise a flag to a company such as yours?
I think that has to start with the business leader themselves, really. Period of time like this, they are inevitably going to be struggling with their own sense of overwhelm, uncertainty, anxiety, and on top of that, the added responsibility they have towards their team as well. So it probably starts with them in terms of, how is this impacting on them, and allowing them time to express that, supporting them in adopting healthy strategies that are going to support them through that. And I think from that position, they're then more able to be able to recognise, okay, this probably is existing in my team as well, and how can I best support them to move forward? And I think, it comes back to that opportunity again. This presents them with a fantastic opportunity to think differently, to work in creative ways that they've perhaps never considered before. As Elaine said, it was perhaps, it was one of those things that in the past has perhaps been seen as a nice add-on or a luxury, whereas now we're recognising it's absolutely central to the success of a business. So I think it starts with a business leader, it's then cascaded down to the team. So it's top-down, bottom-up approach, basically.
I love that. And again, how this fits into some of the stuff that I do. I talk to business owners about the team, customers, and the business, and everything kind of points back to them usually. And it's trying to get them to shift to say, well, actually, if you can look after your team, get your team and the processes of the team, the systems in the team to be able to be slick and efficient, etc. Actually, the team then can look after the customers, and the customers will then look after the business, and the business can look after the business owner. So it's this cycle. But of course, it starts with the business owner looking after the team, and this is exactly one of the ways that you can support them and fit into that, right?
We had a really interesting example of exactly what you're talking about. So I think this is fabulous. So one of our clients has engaged with us to produce some webinars for their staff, and all of the leaders get involved, and it's a open dialogue about how people feel about the content of those videos, but they're also sending it out to their clients and to their member groups. And actually what they're saying is, you know, we care about you. We will be back for you after this lockdown period is over. But it's sending such a strong message about the culture of that organisation and us being the kind of place that you want to bring your business. And I think people are going to remember those kinds of messages during this time. So I think that's a gorgeous example from a wellbeing perspective of what you're saying about, you know, leaders, teams, clients. It's all full circle.
Very good, very cool. That's a lovely example, that, Elaine. Thank you for sharing that. So clearly, this this need for well-being and support in business, mental health. I think most people can see that there's going to be more need for this as we are still in and will come out of lockdown in the future. So thinking about where people are right now, what golden advice, golden tips could you give those business owners, the people who work in the businesses right now, to look after themselves?
So I think, first of all, we've got to recognise this unique situation that we're in at the moment. And when we're working from home, our home becomes our workplace. It also becomes it's where we choose to kind of relax as well. We've got to create boundaries between the different elements of the way we live our lives. So structure and boundaries are really important. We're suggesting to people that they establish a completely separate working space. If they can't establish a completely separate working place, then at least put your laptop and your papers and whatever else away at the end of the day so it's out of sight. Getting dressed for work is really important. It sends a really powerful psychological message that I'm in my workwear. That means I'm focused, I'm productive, I'm in work mode. But equally, at the end of the working day, when you shift your laptop away, also change from your work clothes as well. Shift into your kind of loungewear that sends that equally positive message that says it's my downtime, it's my time to kind of rest and recover, and have that kind of wind down time now. Huge psychological messages there. I think the other key thing is we are in uncertain times. We keep saying that, but it's the truth. And recognizing that there are just some things that we cannot control. And as soon as we kind of accept that, we kind of let go of a huge amount of anxiety and pressure that comes with trying to control everything that is just beyond control, really. So take some ownership over the areas that we can, but actually just sit to one side those areas that we can't take control of. And I think the thing that falls out of that are the emotions that then leaves you with. So what sits beneath the uncertainty, that lack of control? It's often fear. And we're really encouraging people to get in touch with the emotions that sit below that. What are you actually fearful of? I'm fearful of perhaps not having a job. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm fearful I won't actually be able to pay the bills. Okay, and if I can't pay the bills, actually, I can't, lead the household or whatever that means. So get in touch with our emotions. We often hide from our emotions. Now I think is a great opportunity for us to really get in touch with them, try to understand them, and sit comfortably with them rather than trying to avoid them. I'm sure you've got a few more, Elaine, that you'd like to add.
I think I just want to add a simple one, and I think it's to be kind. Be kind to other people and be kind to yourself. The fact of this time is our amazing bodies and minds are trying to protect us. And so what's happening as we're bombarded with the media and worries about work and worries about health is that we're being put in that constant fight and flight mode. So we're constantly in stress mode. What we don't need when we're battling with the fight and flight mode is a little critical voice going, you should be, emerging out of this as the best you ever. You should be losing 3 stone. You ought to this and you ought to that. Let's just be kind. These are really difficult times. As Sharon said, get some structure. Accept that some days are going to feel a bit rubbish. Other days are going to come and feel a lot better. And that's the cycle that we're in. Trust that we'll come out of the other end and just catch those negative voices and reframe it. Be kind.
Love that. Some amazing messages there. Thank you, Sharon and Elaine. I think you're absolutely on the button with it. control what you can control, especially your environment, like, because if you don't control your environment, then you're probably not in control, right? So if you can do a bit of that, and take the time out that's needed for you, because we're particularly working from home. I've noticed that people just want to work almost around the clock constantly because they haven't got those barriers. And be kind to yourself. It's got to start with you, right, Elaine? Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Superb messages. Sharon, Elaine, I can't thank you enough for sharing those with us. Thank you so much for joining. I wish you the best of luck. Be positive, as I know you both are incredibly. Be safe and look after yourselves as well.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.